Welcome to Mindset 52 Podcast, your source for powerful strategies and uplifting stories from top-tier achievers, athletes, entrepreneurs, and industry visionaries. Discover how they thrive in their fields while staying true to what really matters: personal well-being and family. Immerse yourself in their transformative insights and step closer to your highest potential. This is Mindset 52. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, JR Rivera here with Mindset 52. Thank you guys for joining in. Today we have Garrett Tennant, Omaha's newest up-and-coming real estate star. Garrett, thank you so much for joining me today.
Definitely. Thanks for having me here.
I'm excited.
Cool experience.
Dude, I'm excited to talk to you. We've talked a little bit here just recently, and we got into some topics that were like, okay, I got to have you on the podcast.
Yeah.
How the hell are you doing what you're doing, and how are you doing it so great? So first off, I want to ask you a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about you.
I guess we'll still start from the beginning. I'm from Yankton, South Dakota. Grew up in a small town.
Yankton.
Love it. You been there?
I have, yeah. I used to go fishing when I was a kid.
Yep, at Lewis and Clark. Great area. Love fishing. Big outdoors guy. But life took me down to Doane, over in Crete, and played football there. Graduated in 2 years after COVID hit. I was like, I'm done. Let's just graduate. So got my business degree. Got a minor in accounting. I was like 4 credits shy of also getting a dual majors in business and accounting. Wow. But it would have taken me like another year to get my accounting major, and I was like, no thanks. So
gotta get to it.
And COVID hit, and I was like, I'm done. And so I went back up to South Dakota because I didn't have to wear a mask while working. So got a job in banking up there right out of college, and got into real estate investing while I was up there. Long story short, got into real estate investing. Realized I really liked real estate. Met my now wife during that kind of time period. Got a job offer over in Iowa. At the same time that she got accepted into medical school here at Creighton, and chose her over the job, came and moved to Omaha, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do. No idea. And she's like,
new town.
She's like, oh, well, what have you done? What are you comfortable with? I was like, well, I'm comfortable in the manufacturing environment. It's kind of what I grew up in. It's what I did through college. Just kind of what I was most comfortable with. And I was like, oh, we don't have any manufacturing in Omaha.
I never even noticed that. Yeah. You're totally right.
There's some, but there's just not a lot. So when I was looking for jobs on Indeed and doing all that kind of stuff, I was like,
it's just not a manufacturing city.
Yeah, and the job offer that I had over in Iowa was pretty solid, and trying to go on and apply for those type of jobs here in Omaha, because that was a kind of an organic job offer. I was still working at the bank, met the right people, had the right connections, and they said, hey, you want to come work over here? Here's your job title. And I was like, oh, I'm 22. That's a pretty solid job. But I was trying to apply for some of the same jobs here, and it just wasn't clicking. I'd apply for a job, and they'd say, hey, how about you apply for the job opening that we have kind of a couple steps down below that, because your resume isn't, quite there. And
sure.
Also, you got a nice little 2000 birth date, so you're a little young. And so after probably, 6 or 7 different interviews, phone interviews, I was just like, I have no idea what I want to do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. So I had 2 rental properties up in South Dakota. They both were cash flowing me pretty solid. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to sell one of them and buy a 4-plex here. I had my eye on one, and I was like, you know what? I'm a business-minded guy. The rents are low on this. I can probably flip this house without touching it. Just increase rents, do that kind of stuff. And lo and behold, bought a 4-plex. There was some month-to-month renters in there. Increased some of their rents, put some new renters in, and we were able to sell the 4-plex for about $40,000 more than what I bought it for after 3 months.
Wow!
I had some renters flush some things, but other than some plumbing issues, I didn't have to put any money into the place.
That's right. Did you have any mentors and anybody that guided you through that experience?
Myself.
Just YouTube University, or
not even really.
Just experiences.
When you're looking at, like I said, I'm a big numbers guy. So when I put all the numbers down on a piece of paper, and I was like, at this price that they're asking for, it cash flows. But also the fact that Ashley and I were renting, it was close to downtown. I was like, well, I know what we pay in rent. that's nowhere close. I mean, I understand it's the difference of,
Sure.
but I was like, that's not even close. I can charge, at max I could probably charge $600-700 more than what these guys are paying now. But I was like, I don't need to do that. I don't want to take anybody's money out of their pocket because I'm greedy. That's not the type of guy I am. Right. So I was like, just a couple $100 increase, because the old owners hadn't increased rent in who knows how long.
Right.
So did that. Kind of during that time period, my wife convinced me to get my real estate license, because she's like, you're really good at this. You know a lot about houses. You've done your own flips. You've done everything yourself up to this point. Also, you didn't like any of your realtor experiences that you've had. So I was like, well, you're right. I was jumping into this I had no idea what I was getting into.
Right. Yeah.
What is being a realtor? What does being in real estate even mean? You go around town and you're like, I'm Garrett. I'm in real estate. The looks you kind of get are like, of course, everybody's in real estate, right?
It does seem that way. So what do you do to now that you've seen and had those experiences and you wanted to come into the industry, seeing where there was a gap, some place where you could go in and capitalize? What are those things that you are doing to set yourself apart?
Well, so I just kind of took what all of my gripes, complaints about everything that I had experienced during my time as a first-time home buyer, trying to buy my second home, trying to buy, just anything that I was going out and buying in terms of real estate. I was just like, let's just make a list of all the things I don't like and just do it completely different.
Boom.
So really that's what I did. And the stereotypes of realtors too, right? Like that's real, that's out there.
In every industry. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the sad part is some of it's true, right? So it's like, okay, well, let's just take all the stereotypes and eliminate those. Let's not be anything that I didn't like. Let's not be anything that it was a stereotypical. And I'm self-fueled. So it's just been a personal drive of like, let's just change the industry. There's a huge gap here in Omaha, and I realized that very early on. Of just be yourself. There's room for Garrett. So
100%.
Like, let's just capitalize.
I'm a true believer that everyone is an author to their own story.
Exactly.
You get to dictate what you want to be and how you want to do it. But a lot of people don't find, I guess, that is as black and white as you'd like it to be. Was it pretty easy to you? Did it just come natural? Is your family entrepreneurial? Is it?
Not necessarily. I would say it came naturally to me. I like the question earlier of, where was that space and how did you find it? It just kind of came to me one day. I was kind of sitting there, and my wife and I were talking and kind of talking about, we weren't even talking about real estate. We weren't talking about my job. And I'm just kind of sitting there, and I remember we were in our apartment downtown, and I was kind of sitting there, and I was like, I see all of these real estate agents in Texas, right? I don't follow a single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
All they do is pop up on my feed. And then you go check them, and it's like they've grown 10,000 followers in the last 3 years. They've done 60 deals. It's like, where's Omaha? We have a big enough market. True. We have, I don't even know. So many people have moved here in the last 10 years. We haven't, where are we? We have a bunch of first-time home buyers here that are all, social media is their livelihood.
100%, yeah. It drives business so heavily.
Yeah, so I was like, there's a market here. Let's just be authentic. Let's give people information. Let's not do this whole game of social media. That's not what I intend to do. Obviously, it's my business, so I have to, operate it as such. But I just saw this wide avenue that nobody had tapped into, and I was like, let's try. So sold the fourplex. It's like, I'm gonna give this a shot until I run out of money. Legitimately, I was like, I can go get a job.
Yeah,
I can go get a job. Is it a job I'm gonna like? I don't know, but I can pay the bills.
Right.
I can go get a job in a week. So I was like, here's my $35,000. I'm gonna do this until I'm broke.
Let's get to work. So what are some of the tools? So you mentioned social media. How do you even start that? Is it putting out clean content, valuable content? I hear all these people that are successful, not necessarily in real estate, but they're doing they're doing good things on social media, and it's for a reason. And you really take a look at those people that have built it from the ground up, that really have built it, not just bot followers or anything like that. There's definitely a ton of value that they're bringing to the table. How have you been able to do that? Like separate yourself from the pack?
Kind of one thing that I'll be very honest, I got very lucky.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody who ventures down the social media path, at some point you have to get lucky. You have to have your one break of, hey, this thing kind of went semi-viral, right? But what I realized very quickly is, to grow a social media following, you have to provide valuable information.
Sure.
That people actually get value out of. You can provide information and people are like, So something that provides actual value, it's got to be entertaining enough that they stick around, even if they're not interested in quote unquote what you're selling. And then you have to figure out what you're selling, And for me, you might think real estate, you're selling houses. I'm selling myself.
Ooh, that's a good way to look at it.
So at the end of the day, there's 4,000 agents in Omaha. I think the market statistics last year were 95% of them did less than 5 deals.
Oh my gosh, yes, I see those stats.
And it's absurd, right?
It's crazy.
So just say, rough numbers, 300 agents are doing more than 5 deals a year. And you take a look at it and you go, okay, well, you can't sell under 5 and be full-time unless you have a separate income provider. So 95% of agents in Omaha are part-time agents.
100%.
So I was like, okay, well, there's an avenue here. Me as the first-time home buyer in the first-time home buyer age group, I was like, that's gonna be like that's got to be the people I help. That's where I had gripes. That's where everybody had gripes. So I just dove into that and I got my lucky break.
Did you adjust your strategy or your social media?
Not really, actually.
It just came naturally to
kind of what I started
people?
doing way back when is still what I'm doing today, right? Like,
really?
I'm just a normal dude that wants to help you. I try to avoid real estate talk whenever I can.
Yeah.
I'm connecting with you.
Yeah.
I want to help you get to what your goal is. Mm-hmm. And most of the time that's home ownership, right? So, just try to navigate that process as most effectively as I can. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm selling myself on why you should not necessarily work with me, but also I want to provide you value and show you that I'm putting in the effort, so that you can be the most successful that you can be as well. So it's kind of something that I started tracking. It was really at the beginning of this year was what's something tangible that I can put a number on that shows people kind of how much I've helped, right? I can say that I've done 60 deals this year, and it's like, oh, that's great. Have you helped anybody?
60 people?
Yeah, I mean, I've helped 60 people, but
100%.
what have you done?
Right, yeah.
Is that a lead inflow? You're just so good at generating leads that you can close these people, or what are you doing to help?
Sure, yeah.
So at the beginning of the year, I started tracking, how much money I've saved people in closing costs, how much money I've saved people in terms of asking offers. So below asking, closing costs, how much money I've generated in under appraised value. So they can go to the bank and get a home loan or a HELOC on something. And then how much money either I've sold the house for over asking or set a new benchmark in the area.
So you're doing exactly what I think people don't understand. With social media, number one, is that you're being yourself. You're being transparent. You're not... People can see through the bullshit. People can see very clearly through the bullshit. And if you're not putting anything in between, you're not, putting it on a mask or trying to portray this persona, you're being you. And the authenticity, holy crap, authenticity is what has made you successful. Now,
There's
mix
a
in
book out
that.
there, I'm pretty sure, that says something about that. The most successful version of you is going to be the most authentic form of you.
Dude, there's only one of you. There's only one Garrett Tennant.
That's what I'm saying. And I also fully understand that I'm not going to get along with everybody.
Sure, 100%.
I say that lightly. I think I'm going to get along with everyone. There's people that out there that they would get along better with. But at the end of the day, who's going to help them?
Right.
You know,
No,
There's-
maintaining
and I'm not saying like there's plenty of agents here in Omaha that are
and
fantastic.
maintaining that clarity is extremely difficult to do, especially with all that noise that is on social media, or you see maybe with other realtors, the community. Everybody has their opinion about how to do what they do, but not
And there's a
everything
bunch of
is
feedback.
There's
on it, right?
is a bunch of
Like,
feedback.
everybody's a homeowner, so everybody has something little to say.
100%.
So it's a market that there's a lot of hate. There's a lot of hate messages out there.
Is there? Have you seen definitely?
I've gotten a couple.
Yeah.
Gotten a couple.
It's a doggy dog world, and in business in general, I think real estate definitely is a very competitive market. And you talk about the 95% of people in real estate have not sold, more than a couple of homes. That makes it for a very interesting market, a dynamic where people are struggling and trying to figure out how to do what they should be doing and doing it at a very slow pace. That doesn't help when they're going through that transaction and creating real value for the homeowner, that person that's that's relying on them to guide them through the process. That becomes very difficult with trying to stand out and be the individual that you want to be in real estate. How have you been able to maintain your personal, your arrow or your north, while doing everything that you're doing on social media? You're also a husband, your wife. We're gonna get that into a little bit here. She's a doctor. How have you been able to balance all those things?
I'm a very nonchalant person. My life is out there on social media. I remember. So I started with my account being private, back when I first started making videos and stuff, and I was like, there's part of me that I like my life being mine. I don't want it out there for people. But I remember the day that I decided to take my account public, and just take it from like my friends, people that I've accepted that follow me, type of thing. And I was like, at a certain point, my life's got to be out there, right?
Yep.
So that I shelter some things. Like there's a lot of stuff that I don't want people seeing or knowing. And I don't say that, and that's not a bad thing. It's just like I still like my life being my life. So, but I want people to feel like they know me. So I put out enough that like is truthful and honest to being me, because I can't. I'm a terrible liar, and B, I would always, if I tried to bullshit you would know.
Yeah.
Because it would come out. Like I just would forget what I even bullshitted you.
You're transparent. Yeah. No. 100%.
So I realized very early on that I was like, okay, here's my life. I'm okay with everybody seeing aspects of it. But once I'm home, like I'm home. It's very easy for me. Like my phone's sitting over there right now. Like work's over there.
Yep.
I can separate it, my home and work, like that switch that some people don't have. I can turn mine on and off very easily.
That is a very difficult thing for most people, man. And I struggle with it.
And I struggle with it at times, but like this weekend we're gonna go out of town here to Florida for Christmas, and I know that I have certain times of the day that I'm going to have to work. It's just what it is. That's anytime my phone's attached to me, I could be working.
Sure.
But it's just, how do you deassociate at home with work? And I feel like I'm pretty good at that, just because I care a lot about my clients and I care a lot about everything, but I also am the person that goes, tomorrow's issue is tomorrow's issue. If there's not anything I can do about it tonight, why worry about it?
100%.
So that helps me a lot.
It also helps that
my wife is in a completely different field than I am.
Sure.
When I get home, we don't talk. We don't talk about real estate. I mean, she asked me how my day is, we're buying a new house right now too. Yeah. So it's like, we talk about some of that kind of stuff, but we don't dive into my work day, mostly because she knows I don't really want to talk about it.
That makes total sense. Drawing that line, I mean, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Because, there are going to be fires that you're putting out constantly. Yeah. There's going to be situations that you don't really necessarily have to bring up. It's like, it goes without saying. And I think having that clarity is
none important. Of my, my in-laws, my parents, my sister, like none of our family's in real estate. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy to, just talk about other things.
Yeah.
And, real estate's what I do. It's part of who I am, but it's not who I am either. So it's like, I have my own interests, I have my own hobbies. How do I stay grounded in those things? Because at the end of the day, if I'm grounded in those things and I'm grounded in who I am as a person, I'm going to be able to help people better. I'm going to be able to, my social media will be better because of it. Because again, it's always, how do I be the most authentic version of myself?
So that's one thing that I wanted to bring up. A lot of people trying to balance everything that they have going on in their lives is a lot easier. It makes things a lot easier if they have a good support system.
Yep.
Who is your support system? Who do you go to as your rock? Or
I'd
your
definitely
rocks?
say my wife.
Your wife.
Right? She's
Shout
there.
out.
What
Shout
is
out
it?
to her.
Busting with the boys.
Yeah.
Shout out, no free shout out.
Shout out.
But yeah, she's awesome. It actually probably helps that she doesn't know much about. She knows what I do.
Yeah.
But like she doesn't know the intricacies.
She has her own problems.
Yeah.
She
I
has
was
her own.
blank on that word. So thanks for interrupting me there because that'd have been tough.
Sorry about that, man.
No, but she's definitely my rock. At the end of the day, we talk about things. It's nice to de-stress, but she also usually doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
If I'm complaining about a problem or something comes up and I'm talking to her about it, she's like, that stinks.
You're
But
that's
it's
it.
what
That's the
can you do
feedback.
about it?
Right, 100%.
And
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like that's the type of person I am. Like I just want, if I'm venting, right, I don't need you to say anything. It's just, I just want to get it off my chest. And honestly, sometimes the comment of, so what can you do about it? And the answer is usually nothing. So it's like,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But with that, I've helped a lot of people this year. I've met a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people. Kind of getting back to that, even that authentic version of yourself. If I were to show up and at the end of the day, you take them from social media, and then you still have to have real conversations with them, right? So you still meet them face to face. You still have to hop on a phone call. You still have to, you're texting them constantly all day long. If you're not the version of you that they think they're getting, either, like, you can have the greatest social media in the history of social media, but if you can't connect with people, or you're not who you are as what you advertise, like, you're not getting anywhere. Yeah. So just being me, but also having those boundaries of like, when I'm home, really helps me, I think flourish in an environment that social media is a very negative, very negative platform. So it's like, don't let the highs get too high. Don't let the lows get too low.
For real.
Just kind of cruise along, find my lane, and I stay in it. I don't, you've seen it. Like, I don't make any like content because that's not who I am, right? Like, I made my social media page for real estate in Omaha, Lincoln, kind of surrounding areas. That's what I made my social media page for. I made it so that you can get to know me a little bit better before you start working with me. I made it to show you what I can do for you, but also just like, I want to be your friend. I want to help you out. I want to be there for you, sometimes it's the most exciting day of your life for some people. So it's like, I want to be there for that. So it's kind of my lane, and I just stay in it. And my biggest advice since I have kind of started down that, there's been a lot more people that are trying to follow suit, which is awesome. I think it's a super untapped market here, and I can't help everybody.
No, 100%.
I'd like to think I could, but I can't. So it's just like, find your lane and stick in it. Be authentic to who you are, because you're going to connect with people I can't connect with.
And also, I think it's very easy to get discouraged. People don't like to really tough things through and get it's the reality, especially with social media. You expect, because it worked for somebody else, to work for you immediately, and that's not the reality. It doesn't work like that every time.
Some people need to hear is they see my social media and it's like, he had it easy. Had a following that he just gets business. He has clients sitting there.
Like you had that before.
Yeah. So I moved to Omaha knowing nobody. That money I talked about that I set aside earlier, I burned through all of it.
Sure.
I actually had 2 job interviews the day I sold my first house.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And like I'd gone, it took me 9 months from the moment I started kind of my social media page.
Wait, when was that? Was that last year or 2 years
2022.
ago? 2022. Okay, yeah.
So a little over 2 years ago. And the important part that I thought going into it was like, it's not that I'm starting as a newbie. I'm not green. I've I've done this myself, right? Like I've flipped homes, I've sold homes, I've bought homes, like I've done it all myself. I'm a homeowner. You know, I can go through this list of, I have experience in most things that most people don't.
Sure.
Right? Like I've met plenty of real estate agents at that point in my life. I had met plenty that I had done more than they had. So it's like, okay, I don't have to be scared going into this about being like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. 'Cause it's like, I do, you know, and I can truly help people because I know what I'm talking about. You know, just, hey, I might need some help. What's this contract portion mean? Sure. I know what I'm trying to get at, but like, what's the words mean? That'd been like the biggest learning curve was like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know, what am I filling in here? But obviously that's easy now.
Right.
But it's like, that was the biggest learning curve because I was like, real estate's easy, right? In terms of like my mind and processing all that kind of stuff, numbers, all that comes naturally for me now. My wife's biology. Whew.
That's another game, yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. She's a doctor, right?
She's in med school.
She's in med school.
She's a M3, so she's in her third year of medical school at Creighton. So she currently is working for free. Well, she's actually paying to work, so.
That's not a good setup. So what's the path for?
So essentially she finishes out this year in May. She'll become an M4 in May. So it's 4 years of medical school. You know, your M1, M2, M3, M4. So she'll graduate med school in 2026, right? Yeah, next year's 2025. So 2026 she'll graduate. She'll start residency. We don't know what she wants to do yet. We kind of have a list, but it's not finalized, I would say.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of trying to figure out what she wants to do going forward with that.
So the next step is residency. You mentioned it. So with that, does she have to, I guess, try to find a good spot for her to do that residency?
Yeah. So residency, I mean, she'll probably, if she hears this, she'll correct me.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, residency is more like a dating thing.
Okay.
So like you have to go out and match with the doctor that you're going to be the resident for. And you know, dating's a loose term, but like, you know, they have to approve of you and you have to approve of them. And they pretty much like select you. So you rank out your ideal spots or ideal landing spots. And they break it down into, I don't know how many lists, but there's a lot of lists, I think. But essentially you have to match with the doctor that matches with you.
That makes sense.
And
so then you're kind of under their wing for that period of time.
2-3 years ish.
Gotcha.
And then from there, depending on what she does, she could go into more like a fellowship. A fellowship is still kind of under the tutelage of somebody different.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then full-fledged doctor. So
that's a whole
process.
process.
We got time.
How long has she been in school so far?
Well, she just went to undergrad. She went to Kansas.
Okay. Yeah.
And then so she did her 4 years there. She'll do her 4 years in med school. She'll do 2 or 3 years in residency. We're looking forward to that. She finally gets paid in residency.
Yeah.
Like I want to say it's like 60 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But she'll work like 80 hours a week.
Man.
They work them to death. But so she'll have 2 years of residency, which is still technically school. And then 10 plus. 10,
So here
10 to
comes
11.
the big question as all of this has come down. You guys have all obviously had to kind of roll with the punches, become who you need to become to balance everything that you're doing and still stay connected because that's a difficult thing to do. Really stay. Intentionality, I think, is probably the biggest key. But is there anything that you guys are putting in your schedules or you know, timing a certain day of the week or a certain day of the month? Are you guys doing date nights?
We do
What are
a
you guys
lot of
doing to
date
stay
nights.
connected? Okay, gotcha.
We both like good food.
Yeah.
So like we do a lot of the steakhouses
Who does
and
it?
stuff
Yeah, no, 100%.
here in Omaha.
What's your go-to in Omaha?
Ooh, boy.
If you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one. Oh boy, that's tough.
Putting you on the spot there.
I know.
There's a lot of good
I think
ones.
our favorite spot, it's just, you know, it's not an every weekend spot, it's the Committee,
You read my mind.
right?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think that's my
good.
favorite ever.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's pricey.
We went to the Drover for the first time this last weekend.
Solid, yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
$55 for steak, salad bar. That's pretty solid. But we are also the new Hy-Vee out in Gretna. So we live real close to there.
That's the like big Hy-Vee, right?
Yeah. You ever been there?
No, not inside, no. Driven past it, it just looks enormous.
So we eat there a lot.
Oh, do you really?
We do. Their bar and their happy hour, like I think what we were in there, we got a couple beers. I got a couple beers. She got a couple drinks, and then we had like some appetizers.
Yeah.
I think we spent like $21.
Man, that's not bad at
Like
all.
I think we got four drinks alone for $21, and not even including the appetizers would have been a steal.
And I mean, dude, who cares? Like at the end of the day, you guys are spending quality time. You guys are having a conversation you need to have.
That's what I mean. We also when we first started dating, I don't know why her dad said yeah, but for her graduation, I had planned a trip for us to go out to Glacier National Park. We were gonna, she bought me a truck tent. It's like one of those tents that you put in the back end of your truck. And we were gonna go do a week out there. And I don't know why her dad said yeah. Me and him are obviously like super close now, but love him. But he was like, go for it. So we had a 24-hour car ride out there. It rained the entire time we were out there. We went hiking one day.
Not what you guys were expecting, huh? You guys were
We went
expecting
hiking
clear
one day.
mountain views.
We went hiking one day. So we literally had that entire week to just roll through everything, right?
So Glacier National, that's
we had been
north
dating for
of-
a month. Yeah, that's
My
like up on the
God,
Canada border.
dude.
And we went up there and
That's in Canada, right?
it's right on the border of Canada, Montana.
Gotcha.
So like,
yeah.
you can go into like the northern part of the park is in Canada. So it's like it's way up there. Kind of, and then it's almost in Washington on the west side. So that was kind of our like, do we want to be together type of deal. That was that trip that kind of like was like, yeah, sure. But yeah, right now we just we make. I don't want to say we. It's more myself.
Yeah.
I have to make time.
Yeah.
She's got her routine. She's either at the hospital or she's at home studying. So how can I make time out of my schedule? Because it's like, I get clients that are like, hey, can we go see a house at 6? And most of the time I answer, sure. Like, I'm here to help you guys. I don't ever want to get in the way of anything. But she's been the one that's been like, hey, no, you have to set your own boundaries too.
Sure.
At a certain point, like you can't go 14-hour days, Monday through Sunday, and then start again on Monday. Like that's just, you can't do that. You can't do that, and I can't do that. So don't do that. So we've gotten good at like, I set my boundaries. I take time out of, every evening. We eat together every night. So we always have dinner together, whether she cooks or I pick something up on the way home. And those are important things for us. I mean, we both grew up in families that we had dinner every night together.
Yeah.
So we try to do that every night. That's been important to us, and that's how we stay locked in and stay focused. And
That's great that she's been able to keep you dialed in though, and on that, making sure that you're intentional about your time and drawing boundaries.
Because if it was up to me, I would probably be going.
We need the bucket of cold water sometimes.
Yeah,
we need that.
My mind is constantly going. For the people that aren't constantly working, like if you work a true 9 to 5, I envy you.
You're
because
right.
It's like you can just go home.
Yep.
My mind, and honestly, if I'm being honest, the 9 to 5 life didn't work well for me because like I got bored.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there always wasn't something to do. Like I always have something to do now, which just keeps me going, and I love that part of my job. So I don't want that to change. But,
Well, you've been extremely successful over the short period that you've been in the real estate game. Even beforehand, entering the business world and jumping real quick into the new ventures and never afraid to, tackle the next big thing. Yep. Now you're coming into real estate and you're doing phenomenally. Tell us a little bit about how much you've been doing and what your goals are now for the future.
Oh boy. So this year, going into this year, my goal was 35 transactions was my goal. We passed that by July. And so we're ending up a little shy of 70.
70 transactions?
Between 60 and 70. I don't really count if I'm being honest. I have, we have some team members that count for me.
And this is your second year, right? Second solid year.
Second full year, yeah.
Wow.
Next year, I have, my goal is 150.
150?
150, yep.
So what do you have in place to get there? I know some of the people that you're around, they're very much about how you do things.
Like I don't know, my processes are very different to most people. Most people have to put it in their CRM,
Yep.
put it at people. I have a notebook full of people. I have a whiteboard full of people. Most of them are up here. I don't know. I have my own process and it works.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know how to describe it, but it's just like, my entire goal is to be as accessible as possible. So, you know, kind of, I know that there's a lot of salespeople that if they heard this, they'd be like, you're doing it wrong.
Sure.
But like, I just don't do a lot of, like, I want to follow up with you to make sure I can't, you know, there's nothing I can't do for you right now or any questions you have. But at the end of the day, when you're ready, just reach out and I'll help you. You know, I don't want to be the one that's like, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Let me remind you that you are ready. Like, that's just not me.
Right.
I don't want to be that guy. When I am done with a transaction, I want those people to be like, yeah, let's go get a drink. Like,
That's what
I'll call Garrett and let's go get a drink. Like, I want to be friends with all my clients.
Truly
that's my
about
goal.
value and truly about making sure that you can connect with those.
And I can say that most people that when I'm done being their agent at that time, like, they're like, hey, let's get together. Like, let's get together with your wife. Like, let's go get drinks. Let's go get dinner. Let's do something. And I have to be better about like following up on doing those things, because I just get so stuck in work that it's like boom, 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 boom. But yeah, my goal for next year is 150, and then also be more intentional about doing more things with more people.
So as you do that, how are you? I mean, you're gonna have to find, I guess, a sweet spot between making time, meaningful time, for every one of those clients, or the ones that that make sense for, while doing more transactions. That's a big, ambitious goal.
I don't remember if it was August. I think it was August. We did 16.
Jesus.
I don't necessarily need to do that again.
Yeah.
I was running around like crazy, but if I can just take that and roll it over into next year, it's like I've been there. I've done this mass amount of volume.
You know what it feels like.
Yeah, I know what it feels like, and part of my goals for next year are becoming. I want more listings. Those are. All the work on those are done in like kind of the front end and the back end, and not so much kind of in that, like, I'm not showing the people houses, right? Like that's not if they're buying, obviously, but like that's one part of the business that's a little bit more hands off and a little bit more like knowledge based. When we take your house to the market, obviously I have
more strategic.
Yeah, and obviously I have a marketing tool that nobody else has here, right? So my Instagram following alone is more views than you'll get on Zillow. So I've done some comparisons in the past about, hey, this is what my reel got. This is how many views my reel got. This is how many views it got on Zillow. And I mean, it's
just blowing it out of the water.
I mean, if you take out like the outliers of like the viral ones,
yeah.
The average one of my views gets 40,000 views. So it's like I can get you 40,000 eyes on your house, plus the normal Zillow.
We need to step our game up, Manny. We need to
whatever. I mean, like, it's just like, when I have these conversations, and most people that reach out to me I don't do any outbound sales. It's all inbound. So it's all through social media. Everybody that reaches out to me knows this. Like, I think that's why, I get some of the listings, but my goal next year is to do more listings.
Yeah.
Cause this year, I mean, of the 60 deals, 50 of them were buyers. And those just, I mean, the time that takes is just.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Immensely more.
I'm not in real estate, but for everybody listening, so listings take up a little bit less actual hours of.
So like, I don't have to get in my car.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, I don't have to get in my car and drive.
So it's the showings.
It's the showings.
Gotcha.
Like, so I've bought a new truck every year.
Yeah.
For the last 2 years. I put 55,000 miles on my vehicle.
Oh my God, dude.
So,
55 in a year?
My new truck, I bought in September. Yeah, September. It would have been October. One of the two, right? And I already have 12,000. So,
Jeez. How often are you changing your tires?
Trying to get in before that happens.
Oh my gosh, dude.
But that's the time that showing up and talking to the clients isn't what takes the time. It's the getting in the car, driving the 30 minutes during rush hour, show a house one way and then driving the 30 minutes back home, and then maybe like the 15 minutes in between the two houses, right? Like, so that's the timeliness.
Eats up your day a little bit.
Well, that, and like, I can't be on my phone.
Right. Yeah.
That's hours worth of driving, just 30 minutes to and 30 minutes back, that I'm not that accessible.
Yeah.
I'm not a big phone caller. Like, I'll talk to you if like we're actively trying to work through something, but like other than that, like, text me, shoot me a DM. I think there was somebody that said it, that was like the super successful people text.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just because it's the time it takes to text is significantly less, and there's no BS, right? Like, if I have to text you, I'm going to text you one sentence, or I'm going to text you the least amount possible to get my point across.
100%.
So what does that look like? And it's like, if I pick up the phone, we got a small talk first, we small talk after. I don't mind doing that sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
But like, especially when it comes to clients and educating them, I like for them to be able to go back and look at it too, right?
Sure.
So it's like, well, here's what we're going to do. Here's what this looks like.
And it keeps things black and white too.
Yeah, if we're talking offer, like I want them to see the numbers. I want them to see it. And I also want to be able to go back and look at it myself.
Sure, yeah.
If I call somebody and we talk about their situation and everything, I'm probably going to have them text me anyway, just so that I can go back and remind myself when the time's ready, right?
Yeah. I love text. I think that's...
Because it's a time saver. Yeah. And quite honestly, with the demographic of people that I'm working with,
100%.
Most of them, they're all social media users, so it's like under 45.
Right.
It's kind of my market. I've done some more with some different people, but the normal markets under 45, they got busy lives. They would much rather be texted. I'll call people and they'll just send me the voicemail and text me what's up.
Yeah, yep. And so with everything, you have this big, ambitious, audacious goal, however they say, but you have this big goal for next year. Is there anything besides continuing to do what you do as far as strategy to get there?
I don't know. My goal is more so just a number on a wall.
Just more.
It's not even that I want to necessarily do more. I know I can handle more. And there's the income standpoint and all that kind of, like, I just want to,
Sure.
But what drives me, I just want to be the best.
Yeah.
So like I'm ultra competitive.
Yeah.
I don't do anything to not be the best. Mom, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. She's like, you have to be less competitive. But no, I just in a not putting forth the effort or being okay with not being the best. That thought just blows my mind.
Yeah.
But I think it also comes back to, like, if you do your best, like my mom and my dad raised me, like, you will do your very best in everything. And my mindset has always been, well, if I'm going to do my best, I'm going to be the best.
For that, I think truly that you have to love what you do. And because you're in it all day, and you're going through, putting out fires, going through issues, bumps along the road. While you're going through all that, you have to stay even keel. You have to be the support system for your significant other, and then still continue to navigate, showing and performing the value that you need to your clients. You have to love what you do. You have
While
to
also growing.
Growing, yeah.
So
there's so many things. While everything else is happening.
And
a
it's
million
just me,
different
myself,
things.
and I too. So it's like
100%.
I don't have anybody that's like, hey, can you?
So you don't have any assistants or anything? No.
Just me, myself, and
Social media, everything you.
Social media, everything's me. It takes time too, right?
That's what that was going to be my next question. How do you? That's quite a bit of content you're putting out. So is that something that you plan out throughout the day? You just kind of.
Nope. It's just kind of, just kind of wing it. My whole life.
You're not giving us a whole lot, man. What is the?
My whole life, I've winged everything.
That's phenomenal, man.
Anybody that knows me knows I wing just about everything. I don't prepare.
Maybe that's the key right there. You're just.
I guess I don't want that to get cut.
Yeah,
no. I don't prepare. But like, I don't know. I just do what I do.
Sure. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day,
I'm me.
Yes.
So it's like
authenticity.
But no, I just can't stand not being the best, right? Like, so like I know the value that I provide. I know, and it's not even that I provide. Like, I always want to hear what my clients have to say about me, right? So like, usually when I'm done with a transaction, like it's like, hey, I really appreciate it. I'll sometimes send sometimes I forget, but most of the time I try to send out like a Google review.
Sure. Yeah.
But most of the time I try to text people and I'm like, hey, give me honest feedback, right? Like, how was your experience? How was your experience compared to what you thought your experience was going to be?
Oh, that's good.
And then, there's some people I've worked with that are like working with me. They had a different agent in the past, right? Like, I'm selling their house. Obviously they bought it with somebody different. How was your experience with me compared to I don't need to know who you worked with. Like, I don't want to know that actually.
Sure.
But like, how do you compare my experience with somebody else's? And it's just constantly growing, you know.
But that's the best way to grow is
Yeah,
actually
like-
taking a look in the mirror, and the best people to ask is your clients. Sometimes it's not as easy to do though. Not everybody
I'm
wants
not
to hear.
gonna lie. One of my first clients was actually my parents.
Oh, really? Yeah. Did they have some constructive criticism for you?
Yeah, we talked. But I mean, it's just small town America.
Sure.
And, you know, they have their own ways of doing things, and you know, I tried to, and it was helpful.
Yeah.
You know, I try to incorporate some of that stuff into what I do now, and but no, it's been absolutely awesome. Can't complain about it even for a second. But no, just the thought of not being the best is what is it? Talladega Nights. If you're not first, you're last.
Oh man, yeah.
And there's some
That's
truth.
true.
There's some truth
Yeah,
in that.
that is true.
And I think I take what my parents taught me growing up of trying your best and doing the best that you can. And in my mind, that's just be the best, right? And there's also that aspect of I know what I do, I know what I provide, I know what my clients have said that I provide. And that's the biggest thing, like, hey, this is what people have said. So I know that I have the ability and the tools to, you know, from a number standpoint of transactions, I know I have the tools and capability to be the best. It's just like, how do I get there? You know,
Well,
how do I do it? And so and that's the goal. Like, could I pick up the phone and start cold calling people? Yeah, but like, that's not me. It's not me. I really don't want to ever feel the pressure. You know, I don't want other people to be like, that guy pressured me into buying something. Like, that's just not what I don't want to be known for that. That's not me. I don't want to be a car salesman. I don't want to be
so as of now, it's almost 100% sphere of influence. It's you creating that sphere.
It's me
a
creating
phenomenal sphere.
It's me creating a sphere of influence. Yeah. You know,
Because how many followers do you have? And they're all
we surpassed
local,
18
right?
this weekend.
18K?
99% of the people are from Omaha or Lincoln.
Dude,
It's crazy.
congrats, man. That's
crazy.
That's huge. Because those are actual people. They're not bots. They're not. That's crazy.
No,
that's amazing, dude.
And it just kind of goes back to, you know, I've always just, kind of what I said earlier, I've always done the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I started this and I've just done the same thing, and it's grown and it's grown. You know, I don't feel like I have 18,000 followers on social media. Like, that's crazy. Like, if I were to tell my 18-year-old self, hey, Garrett, you would have, you know, you're going to have
Of real people.
Well, you almost have 20,000 followers on social media.
Yeah.
I'd have laughed. I'd been like, I'm famous.
Some people that are.
But it's just like, you know,
Well, it's because they're
I
watching.
separate myself so far from like social media in terms of just like, that's not who I am. Like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't even have a social media page. Like, it's how I do business. So it's like, social media now is a business for me, and I just separate myself from it.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, you're transparent enough to where people see the true and honest Garrett there, which I think is the biggest value that people are looking for, is seeing somebody that they can relate to, seeing value behind your process, and obviously seeing you have success with it gives people confidence to work with you.
Yep.
And the more that you can portray that, the more people are going to watch, and the more people are going to watch, the more people are going to work with you. You know, boom, boom, boom.
It's a spiral effect.
It is.
And at the end of the day, what I want, I guess, I always want to try to get out is, I really have a passion for what I do. I really want to change the stereotypical standards of a real estate agent. So it's like, okay, how do I get there? Let's do this. Let's put it out there for everyone to see, right? Now, if I don't do this, somebody's going to call me on it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So it's like, I can't not do this now.
That's the best kind of pressure to have, yeah.
So it's like, and, you know, I don't have a lot of exterior motivation. Like, I don't get, you know, even in high school playing football or college playing football, and it was like, you know, you get the coaches that yell at you.
Yeah.
It's never motivated me. Like, I can motivate myself. And so I've always just been so self-motivated that outside pressure, noise, even just saying a goal, like, it's a goal.
Right.
It's just a number on a wall. Like, what can I maybe measure myself against? I don't know. So it's like, let's just, you know, double our business and add 50%.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, so it's just like, okay, well, what was my busiest month last year? Let's just multiply it by 12.
Yep.
Sounds like a deal to me.
That'll work, man. I'm very excited to see how next year plays out. I think the market is going to really do what it needs to do for a lot of people. And if you stay with what you are focusing on and continue to push for those big goals, I mean, it's all just a matter of process. You're just gonna have to go roll with the punches, get everything done that you need to get done.
Yep.
Continue to balance everything with your wife, because that's super important.
Well, that's probably the most.
That's right, the most important
Yeah.
thing, because she's also going to be going through her struggles and everything that has to do with the
Quite honestly,
residency.
that's probably what roots me, right? We talk
That-
more
yeah.
about her. We talk more about her issues.
That's probably a whole thing. Then.
I'm not saying that she has issues, right? It's
Right, no.
We talk more about it because I don't mind. I need that to even get away from myself.
You have to. Yeah, you have to have
So it's
that.
like, let's talk about your day. You know, what's going on in the hospital?
Right.
I know you can't say a lot, but like, give me the lowdown. Like, I want to know all the tea that you can share
Yeah.
and not
Give me
violate
the
any
tea.
laws. So, but no, it's that part alone is very important, and just making time for family in general.
Yeah.
I try to, even when like my in-laws come up or my parents come down, it's okay. I have some showings tonight. Do you guys want to come with? You can sit in the car.
That's awesome. Yeah.
My dad and my father-in-law love coming to showings with me.
That's cool.
They're not, obviously we're not from Omaha.
Yeah.
So like they're just like, well, let's just go drive around town. I kind of want to see Omaha.
That's cool.
So they go with me when they're in town, but no, it's actually how Ashley and I found our house.
Oh, really?
The house we're buying. Yeah. I was like, hey, there's this some new construction over here. I kind of want to go, throw some of it on social media, and I never take her. Mostly because she usually walks in and goes, kind of wish we had this.
Oh, yeah.
So we walk into this house and she's like, Garrett, I love this house. It's like, okay. Yeah, it's a nice house. It is beautiful. And she's like, no, Garrett, I love this. Okay. Do you want it?
Ding, ding,
Is that
ding,
what you're
ding,
trying to
ding,
tell
ding,
me?
ding, 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 ding.
She's like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Let me call my lender.
Dang. So you guys are buying a new construction.
Yep. Out in, we live in Gretna right now. We live right by Tiburon, so our address is actually Omaha, but we live in Gretna.
Yeah.
And we're just moving further into Gretna.
That's a great area. It's growing so much.
Yeah, so we're over by like that new Schramm Lake project, if you're familiar with that area. The new Gretna
Not
Y.
exact- Okay, yeah.
Kind of over in that area.
There's so much growth out there, man.
goodness.
That town was booming.
Gretna's booming. But it's also really nice because my business is starting to grow in Lincoln too. So being,
Oh, yeah.
being 30 minutes from downtown Omaha, or
Is that how close it is? No,
being 30 minutes from downtown Omaha from Gretna, 35 maybe.
Oh, I
and
thought you
then-
meant Lincoln.
And then I'm 40 minutes from
40
downtown
minutes, yeah.
Lincoln. Or like I have a listing going live on the east side of Lincoln. It
Yeah.
takes me 27 minutes to get there. So it's like, I live in a great spot so that I can do business in both. So that's kind
Forget how close they are.
of the one thing that
Distance.
I kind of want to do to help perpetuate my goal for next year is grow my business in Lincoln. I think that's the one area I can grow a little bit more quickly in.
Sure.
I think I can get some more business over there in a matter of, a couple months. I'm already starting to see a crazy uptick over there. Just real estate's a little bit different over there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
You're 30 minutes, 40 minutes away. But it's just how it just operates a little bit different than it is here. You can tell Omaha's a little bit more of a big city market.
Okay, yeah.
The agents are a little bit more cutthroat. Just people here, pace of life is probably faster. It's probably the best way to say it.
I'm sure, yeah.
Lincoln's a little bit slower.
It does feel a little more homey, a little more smaller
Lincoln's
town.
a little bit more small
vibe.
town vibes of everybody, and just things move a little bit slower over there, which is fine.
I kind of like that too sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's your...
I would love to live in the country again.
Well, you do live in Gretna, which is, it's obviously growing a ton.
But it's about these outskirts as you can get for
yeah.
living in Omaha, and both of us being from small town America, it was just like we can't live in town.
Right.
We paid our dues living downtown. And it was like no, done.
Wild West
And
out there.
we had to live down there for her schooling, but because she could walk to class.
Yeah.
But once she was like, we're getting into the hospital setting, and now I'm at all these hospitals around town. It's like, see ya.
Well, Garrett, I wanted to end the conversation today with a kind of an off-the-wall question. I wanted to ask you if you had a song that would describe you, your personality, or just means a lot to you, is there a song that kind of stands out or you can think about?
Are you familiar with Chase Matthews at all?
I'm
country
not.
singer?
I'm not. I love country, but I'm not.
Born for This
Born
by
for
Chase Matthews.
Why do you think that hits home?
I started listening. That song kind of came out around I don't even know if it came out, but I started listening to it kind of when I first got into real estate. So I was like, that's what I kind of associate that song with, like me starting my real estate business. And then the song just pretty much talks about how you were born for this, right? As the song title.
That's phenomenal.
But, yeah, I would say that song is, I don't even know if it necessarily dictates, who I am or anything, but it's just like, I do feel like this was at least at this point in my life, this has been my calling. This is what I'm here to do, and we're doing it.
I love it. Well, Garrett, Tennant, thank you so much for joining me on today's podcast.
Yeah.
Until next time, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me.
Look forward to watching you crush it next year.
We'll do.